Hey everyone, welcome to Popular Cruising. I'm your host Jason Leppert, here with a look at Alaskan Dream Cruises for the first time. I sailed on the line's namesake Alaskan Dream. I'll review and tour the ship deck by deck, before concluding with sample expeditions and my pros and cons. The top level is the observation deck, and as its name implies, is the ideal spot to check out the passing scenery. The line's parent company is Allen Marine, which you may be familiar with for its sightseeing fleet that offers shore excursions to larger cruise ships. Well, Alaskan Dream is essentially a scaled-up version of one of those day touring boats, outfitted for week-long or more voyages. And its observation deck is both shaded and open in preparation for any weather. The only negative I would say here is the collection of navigation equipment that partially blocks forward views. Nonetheless, there is always still plenty to see through and around it all, including aforementioned traditional cruise ships that are considerably bigger, but also with way more fellow passengers on board. By comparison, the Dream is an intimate alternative, more akin to a shared overnight charter of Allen Marine's other vessels, for exploring the likes of Glacier Bay, where we were patient and captured a breathtaking example of dramatic calving. When you're ready to see this with your own eyes, and are planning to book a cruise accordingly, we recommend doing so through our sponsor, Fairy Godmother Travel, who will magically take care of all your trip planning absolutely for free. To get your complimentary quote, click on the link right here, or call the phone number, or message the email address below. After all, there's just nothing else quite like a good calving. And another thing that is for sure different than sailing on a mainstream cruise is Alaskan Dream's ability to get much closer to shore, to spot wildlife in Glacier Bay, like this brown bear here. During our day in the national park, we also viewed majestic bald eagles, resting sea lions, otters munching on snacks, and even puffins that are rare for the region. Then there are way more sea lions to observe as we departed. By the way, if you haven't already done so, we invite you to please subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new videos. Thanks so much. Now as we begin to head down the stairs to the bridge deck, we come to the covered open deck. Cabins don't feature private balconies, so this space acts as a public variant that is yet another relaxing spot to sit or stand at the railing. And as it's sheltered, it's perfect come rain or shine. Also, unlike the larger cruise ships registered abroad, Dream is American flagged, capable of exploring Alaska, and only Alaska, without the legal requirement to visit Canada as well. So Tracy Arm Fjord can be explored without any obstacles. And when we sailed through, we had the best weather I think I've ever seen here, which made for not only a sunny day for spectacular views, but a clear passage all the way to the glacier at the end, thus making it the farthest I've ever been through the fjord. On the way out, we did further spot death-defying mountain goats high above. As you would expect, the bridge deck is also home to the bridge itself, and Alaskan Dream Cruises is one of the few lines to have a welcome open bridge policy, making it possible to visit with the staff as the ship sails, and ask any questions you may have about navigation and the equipment on hand. Last but not least on the bridge deck and other stair landings are these great scenic nooks that passengers often sat up on to enjoy another interesting vantage point. And heading down one more level to the main deck already rounds the ship out, where a bow viewing area resides at the very front. It's not a very large area, but it does offer uninterrupted forward views unlike the observation deck above, and is also where the ship's kayaks and paddleboards are stored, as seen here as we prepare to dock in Glacier Bay, as a mysterious fog cover shapely shrouded the marina and lodge. And once we moored, you could see a direct comparison between Alaskan Dream and said smaller Allen Marine touring vessel. Also, for those wishing to go for a polar plunge, it's definitely more exciting right off the ship as competitors do, but instead it was offered here as an activity to be braved off the dock. But it was back at the bow viewing area where we enjoyed several instances of whale watching in close proximity. And from here, when the anchor is dropped, the toys can be launched for kayaking and paddleboarding in various Alaskan harbors. As scenic as these opportunities are, many of us were a bit surprised by how infrequently they were offered compared to, say, on Uncruise, where they are almost a daily occurrence. The ship also carried fewer kayaks and zodiacs than I've seen on other similarly sized ships in the area. So when they were available, such adventurous activities were quite popular. Before returning to the ship and stepping inside the bow viewing area, Forward-facing windows make it a low-level observation venue, albeit with partially blocked views. And binoculars are always at the ready, should passengers spot anything to scope out. It makes for a comfortable, public gathering space, complete with a bar, and even resident giant teddy bear, always guaranteeing a daily bear sighting when enjoying the drink of the day. There's also a small shop selection of items available for purchase, additional plush animals included, and a side display showcases several interesting regional shell, feather, and skeletal specimens, plus a small library of books, games, and puzzles. Bar-wise, breakfast pastries are freely available in the morning, as are chips and an infused water throughout the day. Sweet afternoon cookies are always a highlight here, and so are other tasty afternoon snacks. Just beware the bear, as it were, because he was seen a bit tipsy on occasion. Besides included snacks, guests can also buy specialty cocktails, regional beers, and other drinks expertly prepared by the friendly bartender. By the way, the exceptional staff, from the super approachable captain on down, is easily one of the highlights of Alaskan Dream. A digital map can also be interacted with, and occasional lectures are given here on the topics of whales, other wildlife, and more is presented by the expedition staff. And even the great captain himself. I definitely appreciated his Star Trek references and dry sense of humor, playfully but accurately referring to the Alaskan Dream as a floating Winnebago, as my AAA category stateroom illustrates the humble cruise accommodations. The best part of the cabin is the teddy bear approved bed, which features a surprisingly plush mattress and sheets that make dreaming of Alaska easy to do. But there is no other furnishings nor chair besides one small nightstand that I just barely made work to fit my cameras and other electronics for charging, which was thankfully facilitated well by the cleverly hidden USB ports and outlets. I only wish the windows could open to ventilate the room, because although technically air-conditioned, cabins in the ship as a whole can run very warm inside, especially when docked or anchored and not moving to assist airflow. Otherwise, framed photographs are nice touches, as are several wall hooks. But the closet is rather raw, with exposed interior woods, but at least enough hanging storage, although a little less in the way of pull-out drawers. And the bathroom was, shall we say, interesting, with the sink basin outside, and partially drained toiletries that are carried over from previous guests. Not to mention a so-called shoilet, a very small combined shower and toilet compartment, with both towels and toilet paper positioned high and dry out of the way, and made even smaller when the curtain was pulled around as needed to both block the toilet and waterproof the entry door. Sadly, this made for the least desirable shower I've ever experienced on a cruise. Meanwhile, outside are more hooks for hanging any wet rain gear in between outings, before heading down the hallway to the restaurant. The dining room is where included breakfast, lunch, and dinner are fully served every day. And it's also where a self-serve water filling and coffee station is found. The venue is a bit basic, but gets the job done, and I must say the food transcends the venue aesthetics, as meals are mostly excellent. In the morning, made-to-order omelets are yummy, as is the taste of Alaska smoked salmon with bagel plate. Midday meals are also delicious, from a shrimp salad croissant sandwich to what has become one of my favorite burgers at sea, ordered once with a juicy double patty even. And finishing off with a chili ice cream dessert. At night, there are more courses, starting with various soups, as well as refreshing salads, before entrees such as a colorful Pinot Noir Beurre Blanc salmon, gourmet Pacific crab risotto, and for land lovers, the likes of savory lamb shoulder roast or seared steaks, all finished off with chocolate cake or other sweet baked desserts. The captain would usually give casual daily briefings after dinner. When it's time to get off the ship, it's the back deck that guests disembark one way or the other. including kayaks, which can be alternatively launched off a floating loading platform. Or when that platform is tucked away, there's a singular Zodiac available to shuttle passengers. But surprisingly, it requires going down a steeper ladder instead of using the easier aft stairs, that is then swung out of the way before jetting off. But once you're in, such rigid inflatable boat rides are always a lot of fun. Or the ship would most often dock for the easiest of all means on and off. Speaking of available expeditions ashore, the line's own Orca Point Lodge made for an excellent first impression the night we embarked. Not only is the destination at Butte, but the captain was hands-on once more, helping to grill up the one shoreside dinner that was further dished up by the whole staff, including a hearty carving station and yummy crab legs complete with drawn butter. The facility really does impress, extending to a small shop and bar for extra purchased beverages. Otherwise, soft drinks are always complimentary, as are a house beer or wine at dinner. While outdoorsy activities like kayaking and zodiacking are limited, hiking and or traditionally touring ashore are more common, as in Pelican, a port I had never been to before in my dozens of times previously visiting Alaska. Here we saw what amounts to authentic Alaska in the form of a working fishing village that was introduced by the owner, before seeing the whole process take place inside. Now that's some fresh salmon. Pelican also features a neat extended boardwalk that frames the marina and is populated by local people and dogs alike, and further hosts sport fishing of halibut. Just look at these monsters. It's certainly a destination frozen in time, with various artifacts illustrating that reality, as well as nature itself and the region's cultural heritage. In fact, Alaskan Dream Cruises does a great job of showcasing the local indigenous people. While most people fly out of and into these various ports of calls, we most relaxingly sailed between them, like in Wrangell, which was really the only more common cruise port we visited, to see various petroglyphs strewn across the rocky beach that were accentuated by spraying water on them. Since their purpose is not fully understood, they are indeed quite mysterious. Also in Wrangell, we toured other sites of native historical significance, including this recently restored tribal house, and of course totem poles inside museums and out. At Petersburg for my first visit, it was the Norwegian heritage of Alaska that was on full display, extending to some treats we were able to try, as well as dances one fellow guest was very quick to pick up. Then we went on a nature walk through an Alaskan muskeg in the shadow of some seriously impressive snow-capped mountains. And we were always on the lookout for wildlife, seeing deer here. And then black bears and Kake, again for my first time, that were seen hunting for salmon in this creek. The mama and cubs sure had a lot of fish at their disposal. And it was here that we also saw the world's tallest sanctioned totem pole, impressively stretching 132 feet into the air. Even with its few flaws, Alaskan Dream Cruises delivers the region like no other, and my time on the Alaskan Dream was special. As for the ship's final pros and cons, what we disliked as pains in the aft are the extremely small stateroom toilets, it running quite warm inside cabins and other venues, and less kayaking, zodiacking, and other adventures than expected. But what we most liked and can take a bow are the line's showcase of authentic Alaska and its cultural focus, fewer overall passengers compared to other cruise ships and great crew, and lastly, much better food and beverages than expected. Thanks so much for watching. If you would, as it really does help support us, please like this video with a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, while hitting that bell icon to be notified of new videos. Watch our other ones and visit popularcruising.com.